So I'm now all the way to part 36 of this giant rubber band ball. And let me know if you want to stop, but for now I'm going to keep going. So I got this new pack and, placed that entire pile on the ball, which was pretty exhausting. So I took a break, then came back later with all these colored rubber bands that I dumped into a pile and placed on the rubber band ball. And I was done. And it might have broke the scale because it reads 102 and 103. So I don't know. Then I took it downstairs struggling. I rolled it off into the yard and into the road. And just look at this ball in comparison to my head. It's massive, and it's getting pretty hard to lift and throw. And if you want me to keep going or just cut it in half. So one day someone commented telling me to microwave my aluminum foil ball, but first I'm going to do some other comments, including making it smoother and making this basket. This was actually my idea. And, oh look, I made it, haha. And then I sanded it down to make it smoother, which didn't really work, but it gave me this little ball. And then it was time to put it in the microwave. Don't try this at home. I took the plate out, put it in, turned it on for 60 seconds, and waited. So one day someone commented for me to drive over my giant aluminum foil ball with a car. So I'm going to do it. I backed the car on up, pulled forward, and it didn't go over at first. So I backed up and did it again a little faster. Yeah, I did it pretty good, and it looks like a hay bale now. Then I twisted it the other way and ran over it with a back tire. And then backed up onto it. And the aluminum foil ball was fully supporting the weight of this car pretty well. Then the tire spun it off. And here it is now. Let me know what else I should try. So one day someone commented for me to tie 4 bottles of Diet Coke and Mentos together and then throw it. So I got Diet Coke, Mentos, and tape, and I was going to tie these 4 bottles together. I got the tape out, wrapped it all the way around, then put the Mentos in, one by one, in all the bottles, 3 each, then took it out of the cul-de-sac and threw it. And it did nothing. So I threw it again, and it did that. It was kind of a fail, but I just threw 2 bottles separate, and it did that, which was kind of cool. And then I wrapped 2 bottles together, thinking maybe that would work better, and it did a little bit, but not really. So then I threw another one, and yeah. So one day I went to Walmart and got a bunch of cardboard to make one of those cardboard tunnel slides on my stairs like I've seen before, and tape, and then left, went home, and started building it. I taped the first box down at the top and was adding glow sticks all along on the way down. I then taped the second box to the top one and repeated this process for a long time until eventually I was done. The slide was looking pretty cool. I threw some pillows down to break my fall and went down it. And the first one was kind of anticlimactic, but my brother went down pretty fast and almost hurt himself. And on his next go, he basically destroyed the slide. So I had to remove this piece and put down a new flooring that made it actually faster. Here's a POV of me sliding down. And here's my final go. So one day I went out to the Walmart as seen on TV aisle to see if it all really worked as it does on TV. I browsed around and ended up getting these glasses, this dog brush thing, and some flex tape. And I'm even going to break a skateboard in half to test the flex tape, but I got it all and started with this glove thing. It is apparently supposed to remove this much hair from a dog. My dog doesn't shed that much, but I'm going to test it out on him. I brushed him for a minute with it, and at the end it looked like this, so not really. Then I got out these up-close glass things. I don't know, it's supposed to make things bigger. And I tested it on this print, and it made it bigger. And then I got outside and tested it in the real world, and I felt like Logan Paul back with the color glasses, and it made this tree way bigger. It was amazing. I'd never seen the real world this close. And then I got out the flex tape and broke this skateboard in half. I then tried to line it up back together and put the flex tape around it and wrapped it all the way around until the roll was empty. I pressed down on it and then tested it out, and it didn't really work. It was more like one of those train things. So I threw it and it landed right side up and still rolls. So one day it was snowing outside, and I decided I wanted to build a giant snowman and destroy it with my giant 100-pound rubber band ball. So I started with the snowball, and it got bigger and bigger till eventually we had our base. We cleaned it up a little bit, and then I rolled around another snowball until I had the midsection. Put it on, smoothed it out, and then put on the head. We smoothed out the rest and gave it arms and a chain, and turned him into Drippy Steve the Snowman. Hey, icy. Then I filled up my super powerful water gun with hot tub water and blew a hole in his face. And then supercharged his nose off. And after that, I got out the giant rubber band ball, picked it up, and threw it at his head. And he was pretty wrecked. Here's me pretending I'm a snowman, and then the rubber band ball going past, and being on him and throwing it at his back. But none of it worked, so I threw this thing at him and then jumped into him. But he was too solid. Let me know what else I should try. So after failing to destroy this snowman with my water gun and giant rubber band ball, someone commented to fill the super powerful water gun up with boiling water and then shoot it. But first I had to make another head because the other one was broken. I made it, put it on, and he was ready. I let some water boil, put the gun in, and it reacted like this. So don't try this at home because it almost burnt me. So I just filled it up with hot tub water and then went out and shot it a bunch of times. Until eventually the snowman looked like this. But that wasn't enough, so I got a bow and arrow out and shot it with a few arrows and then beat its head in. But the body is still rock solid. Let me know what else I should try. So after my last trip in my giant hamster ball, I threw it away because it was gross, and I actually ordered a new one that was bigger and better. It was really expensive, but it's massive. I blew it up all the way, and then I got in to test it out. And this one, you can just get in without airing it up while you're in. It was pretty big inside, and then I just ran and did a bunch of flips and stuff. And my last one, you'd get hurt if you fell, but this one has 2 layers, so it's cushioned. I ran out to the street and then just laid around for a second. And here's the inside perspective. me doing a flip. I tumbled one more time and then let my brother go for a spin. He went out pretty far and then got out. Comment any ideas for videos with this giant thing. So one day I got this giant hamster ball and the next day it was raining, so I decided to get in it in this air up dinosaur suit. But first I got it in normally just to test out the rain with more mobility. I ran through this puddle twice and then rolled around a little bit, ran a little bit and rolled a little bit more, and then got in the dinosaur suit and got in. And it was a struggle because I couldn't really see where I was going, so I only moved around a little bit and then got out and almost hit my head. But I got out and then ran off and jumped in the air. Let me know what else I should try. So one day I took my microwave to the streets to microwave grapes like I saw in a YouTube video, and it's supposed to make plasma. Don't try this at home, but I'm going to try it. You put a glass cup over and wait, and it did nothing at first, so I tried again with some more time, and it still did nothing. And after some more time didn't do much, I decided to cut it like I saw in another YouTube video and then put it in. And that didn't really do much but make it smoke a little bit more, so I did it again without the glass, and it did that, and then again with more time it did that. And it only ever left a stain. Let me know how I should get sparks. So I'm now to part 37 of this giant rubber band ball. And it's getting pretty giant, but everyone still wants it to be bigger. So I ordered more rubber bands, dumped them into a pile, and started placing. And then this happened because it's getting hard to place them. But I kept on going, finishing the pile, and then I took a break and went outside to play with the ball in the snow. And there wasn't much snow, but I made as big a snowball as I could, set it on the rubber band ball, and then crushed it. And then I came back to place another pile. I dumped it out, and then I placed it a little bit differently this time. I just threw all the bands on the ball. Bam. Magic. And the ball actually broke the scale, and the scale won't read anymore, so I don't know how much it weighs. But I took it out of the coal sack, and it's just pretty heavy. So, like if you want me to keep on going. So one day someone commented for me to drop my rubber band ball in a microwave, so I'm going to do that. I'm also going to crush this piece of furniture along with a few other things with this giant 100-pound rubber band ball. So I got in the ladder and threw it, and it did that. I then picked it up and plugged it in to test it would still turn on, and it did, but the doors broke. Next I got this jug of water I just filled up with the hose, and it did that. Then this bouncy ball that was way louder in person. And last but not least was this piece of furniture I found in my attic, and it did that. Let me know what else I should crush with my rubber band ball. So after destroying our microwave with my 100-pound rubber band ball, someone left a comment saying to do a phone. But first I'm going to do this broken TV my neighbor gave me. I put the ball on there and threw it. And it didn't do very much damage, so I just threw it again. And it mainly just bounces on it, so I stepped on it a bunch and then got out a giant snowball that was left over. And that was pretty cool and left me with a snowball. And then I got out the phone. I set it down, then threw the ball on it, but it missed, so I threw it again. And it cracked it. Look at it. I'm just kidding, this is a fake phone. It's actually smashed now. So one day someone said I should try to go to the pawn shop again, so I'm going to take my rubber band ball, this chain, and some other stuff. I put the ball in my car and then got my bling on and then went inside the pawn shop and said, "What's going on?" I'm back. Got a few more things.
Hey, what you got today?
Bling on this time.
Wow, that's blingy.
First off, I got this tiny rubber band ball.
Is this an offspring of that one?
Sure, yeah.
Having babies? What's up with that?
Want to buy it? I then told him I wanted $50 for it, and he said,
$50 for $5 worth of rubber bands? Better pass on that one.
So I then threw it and got out my genuine gold watch. And he didn't seem to think it was gold.
You got screwed.
Walmart, what a ripoff.
They do that to a lot of people.
Probably explains why it was like $10. And after that, I got out my chain and said it was probably worth... Gold's probably worth about $30K. He looked at me like I was crazy and then weighed it.
90 grams.
Is that a lot?
No.
Oh. And he ended up passing on the chain, so I got out the rubber band ball. It was 80 pounds last time I brought it in, and now over 100.
You're a lot stronger than you look.
It would take a lot for me to let this thing go. What's your best offer?
You got $150 for it.
And I knew I couldn't do it. So I threw the ball down and headed out, knowing I'll probably never sell it. So one day I decided to prank my brother Jack by filling his entire truck up with ball pit balls. And my brother likes his truck a lot, so I don't know how he'll react. And luckily I had already had these ball pit balls from previous videos, you know. And I just began dumping them in the truck and then shut the windows down to make sure they didn't spill out while I put them in. And eventually the truck was filled up, so I went to get him and get his reaction. I did something to your truck. Oh, yeah? Go take a look in the window. Why are your windows? And at first he just paused in silence looking at the truck. And then he opened the door. What do you think?
You know how long it's gonna take to clean up? How am I gonna find my school supply? In the sea crevice.
Then he jumped in it, and then I jumped in it and threw a bunch of balls around.
Later, bruh.
And he took off. So one day someone commented telling me to put my giant hamster ball in the water, so I'm going to do that. But I pushed it through this fence and walked it out to the pond. But the fence had knocked a hole in it, so we had to repair it, and then I got in and got in the water. And I couldn't really move very well, and my biggest fear was going through the hole. I slipped a lot and also just laid down. And then I slipped some more and couldn't move for a while until I accidentally made my way over these branches. And I was trying to run the other way in fear of moving into them, but I couldn't. And eventually I did just float into shore and then got grabbed and got out. Like if I should jump off this bridge with it. So one day someone commented to run over my brother with this giant hamster ball, but I'm actually going to let him run me over. First I messed around in it, then got out and jumped on it. And I was trying to jump over it, but I just fell backwards and broke this bush. And then I laid down for my brother to run me over. He ran me over and it wasn't that bad, so I rolled over and let him run me over again. And again. And then I told him to do it a lot faster, and he did. And then I told him to go even faster, and this is from my point of view. It was pretty cool to watch. Boo. And then I got in a different position to see if he could make it over me like that, and eventually he did. And here's my angle. Ooh. And then I got out the giant rubber band ball and put it in the ball because someone else commented to do that. And it weighed over 100 pounds and started rolling out and then just fell out. Comment what else I should try with the giant hamster ball. So this is rubber band ball part 38, and this ball is getting giant, and I'm going to keep going. Got a bunch more bands, you know, and I tested out these new bands that didn't end up working. So I just ended up going back to these colored rubber bands, and the camera cut out, and I lost all that footage of me putting on. So here's me putting on the last one, and then taking it downstairs. And the ball now weighs 109 pounds. I took it outside, and it ran into a bush. And then I set it on top of this swing and started swinging it. And it was pretty cool, and I tried to knock it off, but couldn't. The most it did was that. And then I just got on it and kicked it off. And it's so heavy I can barely pick it up anymore. Let me know if you want me to keep going. So one day I decided to go dumpster diving behind a phone store to see what I could find, and it was empty. So I drove out to a different phone store, and it was locked. So I went out to Academy's dumpster, and it looked promising, but someone was already there, so we left. And ended up going out to this different sports and outdoor stores, and I looked through it and didn't find anything for a while until eventually I found a watch.
A watch?
And it didn't work, but it was still cool. And then I got in, kept looking, and went out to the side and found this speaker. And I don't know if it works.